okay. And again, let's make sure that this is selected. So all I'm going to do now is just hold down from here and go over to Files Owner, okay? And when you do that, when you let go, it should give you an option of any one of your IB actions that are in there. Of course, we only have one for right now, so we just want to select on that guy, and then we should see that, okay, now value changed has connection to Files Owner. Save it out, and let's go ahead and publish it. Okay, so when it opens up, click on any one of these. Actually, let's click on the I clicked on the first one here. That made no change because it's already selected. But if I click on the second one, sure enough, I get in there high, click back to that one, and so on and so on and so on and so on, like that. Okay, so that's a good sign that things are obviously working. I'm going to quit out of that. Now I'm going to switch back over here to our header file, and I'm going to create a method that isn't based on us triggering it with an IB action, just so you can see what that looks like. Again, I put a minus sign right here, and then in parentheses I'm going to write void. Void means that we're not returning anything from this, and that kind of concept is something that we'll talk about later on. But for right now, if you just remember that void means that this function is just going to kind of do what it does inside of the brackets that we set up, and it's not going to spit back out anything, okay? Even though it's going to do stuff, it's just not going to return anything. And that's, if you don't really understand that concept already, we'll see it later on, so don't overthink it right now. So let's see, let's just call this method after value changed. I guess I hadn't really thought about these method names beforehand. And you know what, actually just something that I've been doing too is I'll put a comment for just kind of general methods like that, and then like action methods. You don't have to do that though. Okay, so after you've done that, actually first let's go and again we'll cheat this a little bit, just copy that and just paste it right over here. Do our opening and closing brackets, and then inside of this method we could just test it out one more time. We'll just write hello from another method. Okay, of course at this point we haven't actually called this method, so nothing different is going to happen if we publish right now. What we will do though is step down here, and with the straight up and down bracket, okay, not your curly bracket, you're going to write self, all right, which refers to, you know, this class, this document, you can think of it like that. And then we're just going to write method, and you can see as soon as I got in the me part, it filled in method after value changed. Okay, so just hit return. Actually, you might have to hit return a few times, and then, or twice, and then do your closing bracket right there, and you'll see that this has changed color very slightly. It's kind of like a little bit of a darker green, and it's just basically just recognizing that, hey, you know what, I see what you're talking about here, I see where you're going. One cool thing too is that, say I hadn't set up this method properly, okay, if I'd gotten to, let's do this again, if I'd gotten to here and it hadn't started to fill in the rest of this, that's a good indication to me that I've messed up so far, okay, because it's, you know, Xcode is usually pretty dead on about realizing, okay, I see where you're headed with this, okay. Or if, say, I'd put in here something other than self, like I was referring to maybe another class, okay, and you know, it would go and it would realize that, okay, you're looking in a different class now with a different set of methods, and I don't see that one, so it's not going to autofill in something. And again, too, we'll talk about, you know, calling methods from other classes and things like that later on. But for right now, this should work, so let's just go ahead and build it. And so I'll click on this, and sure enough, hi, and then hello from another method. So that is working fine. Let's take a little sidebar here for a second and talk about well, one of the reasons that the header and the implementation file are broken up like that And there's probably way more history in there that's worth talking about. But let me show you guys one thing, and that's that Apple gives you a little peek into all of their header files for what makes up, you know, almost all the functionality of stuff you can do with the iPhone, and that's over here in these frameworks. Okay, and you'll notice too that we're that this import statement, you know, was already included when we created this view-based controller that's importing in the main user interface kit. And here's that framework over here. The more fancy we get throughout this tutorial series, the more of these frameworks we're going to import in. Similar to importing in extra functionality into Flash, you know, they just, to keep your application nice and tiny, you don't, you know, if you're not going to be using stuff like the core graphics framework, then you don't import that in. But you can at any time go ahead and peek in on some of these header files. Okay, so and obviously look, it says headers right there. So like here's the UI accelerometer, and you'll see that obviously there's a lot more code here than we've already looked at so far, but here's some similarities already. I mean, this at property, well, here's a read-only thing, assign on atomic. So let me see if I can find like a better example here. Okay, here's a good one. So there's that void. So they have a method there that's set fill, set stroke, set something, and of course they have lots of notes in here as well. But maybe the main point here is that they're not giving you access to the implementation files. Okay, so they're showing you some of the possibilities with what you can do to or with UI color, or if it's like a UI font or UI image, okay, which we'll be looking at in a second here. And of course, this is not the easiest way of going about finding out the functionality of these objects. Really, the you know, the help documents are more for that, or in this case, a tutorial. But it does give you an idea of what's kind of going on behind the scenes there. So that's just one reason why you know, they break apart these headers and implementation files. Again, I really don't know more reasons than that, but just want to share that with you. Okay, so sidebar over. Let's go and get back to work here. And what I kind of want to do is just go through this whole process again of setting up another interface builder outlet. And this time around, let's go grab a UI image. So I'm going to go over here into the library and find image view. Okay, you can drag that just straight onto the stage. Right now that's totally covering up what we had before, so let's go and hit the Apple key, and then 0. So we're back over here. Let's move that out of the way, and we just want to kind of change the layer stack, and we're going to drag that up above. So now it's I guess it's kind of like the opposite of Photoshop, isn't it? If you're in Photoshop, if you're looking at your layers, the topmost layer is what's visibly over top things, whereas over here it's the other way around. So my bar segment, because it's lower down here, it's actually above all the other objects. So we will just kind of scoot that down there. And of course right now I don't have an image inside of there. I think the microphone probably picked up that the baby's throwing around things on the floor above me. So we do need to make it so that we can see an image in here. We got to bring an image into the project, and you'll see over here image, but if we pull this down, there's nothing to select from. So we need to go find an image to bring in, and we're going to do that. We're going to dump it into our Xcode project. What I like to do is right click on resources, go over here to add, and then add a new group. Okay, and then just call this artwork, or you could call it images. It doesn't really matter. Oops, I guess it doesn't like that name in there, huh? Or the slash. We'll just call it artwork. Okay, so let's go find an image to dump in there. And what do you know? I found a Cartoon Smart logo on my computer. So let's go ahead and put that in there. And there's I guess you could right click and add new file like that. Usually what I end up doing is I just wherever that file is on my computer, I will just drag and drop it in there. So I'm just dragging it into that